Hi there, this is Richard from Hughes Kettner here in Koblenz, Germany. Today the Hughes Kettner Couch has moved for a change. We've set it up in Koblenz for an outdoor show by Mr. Alan Parsons and his Live Project.
Hi.
Alan, thank you very much for joining us today.
Well.
Why don't we start by you just telling us how the tour has been going?
Oh, it's been amazing. We've done 9 shows on this tour, 8 in Germany, 1 in Switzerland. And this one here in Koblenz is an amazing location, I have to say, and the last for a little while.
The last of this run?
Last of this run, yeah.
You guys do quite a lot of dates in Europe, don't you?
Particularly Germany, yes. I mean, particularly popular here for some interesting reason. I don't know what that reason is.
Has this country always been a kind of a stronghold?
Always been strong for us, yeah.
Interesting, okay.
And the UK has always been very weak for us, which is a complete irony. I don't know why that is.
You've never figured that out in the...
I kind of blame it on the style of radio in the UK. I mean, the only way to get play was Radio 1 at the time that we were born, as it were. And yeah, it was just really hard to get Radio 1 to play our style. And the sum total of hits we had was I think number 27 in the UK with Old and Wise. So no other hits there. But
when it came out,
had number 1s in Germany. So strange.
Did 27 mean something back in the day? I mean, in 2015, charts don't mean so much, do they?
No, I suppose not. No. Yeah, everybody used to watch the charts quite heavily back then, particularly the top 10. I mean, everybody knew every song in the top 10, basically, which is more than can be said for me now. I haven't often even heard of any of the artists in the top 10. But such is life.
So what has changed the most for you in this industry? You've kind of been on the top in kind of the production worlds, the performing, the composing worlds for, what, 4 decades now? What have been the biggest changes?
Don't remind me.
Since you've been...
There have been a lot of changes. I mean, technology changes, of course. Not only for the music makers, but for the consumer. You know, I mean, most people are quite happy listening to music on little earbuds and on their iPhones, traveling on a train. You know, which is a little bit sad. You know, I'm trying to encourage greater use of high fidelity and loudspeakers.
I was going to say, speaking as someone who has sound as something of great importance to him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sound is my life really, and and it's always been important.
Has it always been like that ever since you started in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I actually didn't really figure that I was going to be playing in a band. You know, once I started the job at Abbey Road Studios, I thought that was going to be what I did for the rest of my career. I didn't realize that I'd make records under my own name and ultimately play live. It wasn't on the agenda back then.
What was the main kind of reason that you sort of transitioned from production work to kind of on-stage work?
It was really just a decision at the time to promote an album. We'd just made an album called Try Anything Once. It was the first time I'd worked without Eric Woolfson, because he was tied up in various legal wrangles with a musical show we'd done together called Freudiana. And I just decided to make this album with the encouragement of several of the previous contributors to the project albums, particularly Ian Benson and Stuart Elliott. And we just felt, after we'd completed the album and signed it to Arista, that we should give the album every possible chance. So we said, let's put a band together and go on the road
and you've been
promote
performing
this.
Ever since.
And we started here in Germany too, in Hamburg, the first show.
Okay. Your on the record material is kind of musically complex. How do you transfer that across to the live stage? And is it a goal of yours to recreate the discs on stage, or to take it a bit different?
Sometimes we try hard to recreate the recording, but I mean, it's actually quite difficult to, for instance, get all the orchestral sounds, exactly as the record. But we have a pretty good shot at recreating just about everything. There are certain songs that we don't play live when we don't have an orchestra. On the rare occasion we do have orchestra, we just love to do it. Silence and I is one of those songs. It just needs the orchestra to really come through.
How often do you get a full orchestra out?
Not often enough. No. I wish it was always, but budgetary constraints, I'm afraid, make it impossible to put the orchestra on the bus and on the road. I can't really do that.
And thinking about kind of the writing behind those songs, how do they come to you? Do they come fully formed into your head, or do you sit down with a keyboard and layer up the tracks? How do the ideas come?
Well, I had to give credit to Eric Wilson, really, who was the main songwriter. I mean, I was the sort of guy that pulled songs apart and cut them into pieces and then glued them back together again in a different order, kind of thing. So that was my role, and the arrangement, and when a solo came and when what the instrumentation would be and so on. But I did do some collaboration on the actual in the early stages of writing as well, and I also was I was the main composer on most of the instrumentals. So it was a good team. We worked well together.
I've read before that you do or have done a lot more compositional works with the instrumental stuff. A lot of musicians that I talk to talk about kind of the idea of songs as communication solely through lyrics. But you do that kind of more through instrumentation, or is there a mix?
I've always been slightly more biased towards the musical side of things than the lyrics. Interestingly, I'm sure that the female demographic is nearly always much more into lyrics than the instrumental stuff. But I've always just heard lyrics as a sound, as another instrument. So, and it could be argued that in foreign languages, if they don't speak English, it is just a sound. They don't know what is actually being said.
When you're playing to these bigger shows in Germany, do you get the crowd singing songs back at you?
Well, yeah, they tend to know the hits, and they do sing, yeah. But we don't hear a lot because we've got these in-ear monitors, so we don't hear a lot of what the audience is doing during the show. But when we take them out at the end of the show, it's like, wow, you hear all the applause and adulation. It's very nice.
When it comes to on-stage stuff, are you more behind the keyboards, or do you pick up a guitar for most of the show?
I'm on guitar most of the show. Yeah, that was always my main instrument. Although I did take piano lessons as a kid, and flute lessons too. But I studied guitar with was self-taught with the same book as Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck. They all used this same book called Burt Weedon Play in a Day, and it's still out there. Still one of the best guitar books ever written.
Let's talk then a bit about something that might also interest some of the guys who are watching this from a Hughes Kettner perspective, and let's talk about recording guitars in a studio context. I'm guessing, well, I know from previous interviews that you're a tube amp man through and through. Solid state and digital modeling is not so much your thing, but
I mean, there's a place for modeling, but it's usually because of budget or convenience, But yes, I've always maintained that guitars invariably sound better with a couple of those glass tubes behind them.
Yeah. And you're also a man for miking up cabinets and not taking direct DI signals out of amps to...
Yeah, I've always done it that way. I mean, on occasion I've taken the direct feed out, but yeah, I've always had a good bit of luck with miking a cabinet. I'm perhaps unusual in that I might mic it as much as 2 feet away.
2 feet away?
Yeah, because I mean, if you stand two feet away from an amp, it's still pretty loud. So I'm one of these people that doesn't really believe that the mic should be touching the cabinet. Although all live sound engineers, including our own, he has it touching the cabinet. But that's how they want it. So.
Do you have a special cab mic combination that you prefer for studio work, or?
Usually it's just one of the small diaphragm condensers from Neumann. Favorite is a KM84. I've always favored condenser mics rather than dynamics for cabinets. I just think it's, you know, the fuller frequency response is better for electric guitar in my view.
A bigger, more open sort of a sound.
Yeah, dynamics tend to sound a little hard for my ears anyway.
And what would you say to people in 2015 who are recording all their material in home studios? Would you say it's always going to be worth it going into a studio and doing the whole caboodle?
You know, again, it's down to budget, and you know, but you know, if you have the space to and the money for a decent guitar and amplifier and speaker, you know, it's going to be better.
Yeah. Okay. One other question I'd like to ask about your material is the other musicians in your band. You're quite stable in terms of the members that you have with you touring and stuff like that. And I wanted to ask, what kind of artistic creation level do they have when it comes to new material or something like that?
Well, we haven't really done a lot of new material. And PJ and Guy, that's the singer and the bass player, we've collaborated on some songwriting, and one of the songs we'll play tonight is called "Do You Live At All?" It's a result of that three-way collaboration. Yet to do any collaborations with Alistair on who's sitting behind that camera. But you never know. We might collaborate at some future time with, you know, everybody is extremely talented in this band, and I'm so privileged to have such a great team to work with. So yeah, I mean, maybe it will extend to songwriting one day.
So what are the future plans for you and the project?
The next thing to happen is a couple of shows on the east coast of America. Then we've got a few more shows coming up in January and February, I think, also in America. I'm sure we'll be back next summer, as always, in Germany and Switzerland and Austria and all these places. But what's latest on the cards is some the release of the Tone of a Friendly Card as a 2 CD set, and that's to commemorate the 35th anniversary of the release of the album, believe it or not. And that's in November, and then we're releasing a symphonic Blu-ray, DVD and CD of a concert we shot in Medellin, Colombia, and that's really turned out well, so I'm excited about that. Signed to a German label, Adele, and yeah, that'll be in January. And really haven't got much else planned for next year.
No, not quite, yeah. Just back to the live albums, you do have a number of them already. It seems to be a thing that your fans really, really enjoy. And what's the process behind selecting shows for you, and the post-production process? How much do you touch up the performances before release?
Oh, that would be telling tales, wouldn't it? I mean, the answer is it's pretty extensive, particularly where you've got sonic problems between drums and vocals, for example, can really negatively affect the sound of a vocal track. So vocal tracks tend to get cleaned up quite a bit. Occasionally you'll get a line or two replaced as well. Nobody's perfect. Everybody sings a bum note every now and again. So yeah, we do a little bit of repair work. But yeah, the whole mixing process is fairly involved. We spent several weeks mixing this symphonic album, and now we have to start thinking about editing the video, getting that synced up to the soundtrack and everything else. So it's all work, but it's fun.
What's more fun, studio work or live work, or always a mixture of the two?
I think I enjoy both, but there's the immediacy and the feedback of an audience, which is so much fun. Yeah, nobody applauds you in the studio, unfortunately.
Okay, so thinking of younger fans who might come to and watch this interview and not have anything from your back catalogue, where would you tell them to start with Alan Parsons? Would you start them with a live album or a studio album, or even with your DVD series, The Art and Science of Sound Recording?
Oh, well, that's something else. The art and science thing is an educational project, or entertainment based on recording, shall we say. But I don't know, where should they start? I mean, I would start with the first album, because that's where it did start. And, still my favourite to this day. Tales of Mystery and Imagination. Still my favourite of all the project albums. But if they are looking for a career in music, then yeah. I mean, it seems that musicians in this day and age need to be conversant with recording technique, because everybody's recording.
Yeah.
So
I think it's the mathematical angle that puts a lot of people off. Would you tell them that that's really nothing to be afraid of?
You mean because it's done by computers now? Or, yeah. Well, computers rule everybody's lives, you know, not just musicians. it's you know, that's the society we live in, the computer society.
On that note, then, I guess that's probably about all we've got time for, because you've got a show to play in a couple of hours.
And we also live in a Hughes and Kettner society, which is an excellent thing.
We also do, not to forget the blue amps.
Blue amps, yeah.
No.
Yeah. Very nice they are too, and they sound great.
Seeing as we're on that topic, are you using them?
Oh yes, very
in the
much.
studio, on stage?
Yes, I'm pleased to say that they've been getting good use in the studio. Yeah.
I think you do have about...
I have one of the little ones. I don't know the model number, but...
The Tubemaster 5. The little 5-watter.
Yeah, that's great.
I remember we did an interview with you 2 or 3 years ago where you talked with Stuart Bull from Guitar Interactive about it a bit.
Oh, right.
Has it had use since then at all?
The which? The bigger one, you mean?
The smaller one.
The smaller one. Yeah, I've been using it, you know, on and off. I think Alistair actually came and did some rehashes of a couple of solo things for the Columbia video. Yeah, worked out great.
Super. Okay, so those young fans who are going to come and check your website out, where can they go? Is it?
It's Alan Parsons Music, alanparsons.com now. I managed to get Alan Parsons Music back from a person who wasn't very keen to give it back to me, but he now has, so I'm very pleased about that. So
one of those people who bought up domains at the start of the boom and then sold them all. Yeah. Well, thank you very, very much for spending this time with us before your show.
Thank you.
I wish you a great rest of the tour, one night that it is, and
thank you.
Thank you very much again.
All right.
You've been watching the Couch Sessions with Hughes and Kettner. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to see you. All right? You got what you need?
Yeah.
Thanks, Alan.